Right, 3rd of May. So let's take a look at what we've got here on the 3rd of May. Let's start off. Now here we had Astro Hours yesterday. Yesterday I also said this was not a bad spot to buy. We marked in these levels, as you know. These were PST levels. So as you know, with the PST levels, you can always buy in this zone. I said be mindful when buying though, because this has been picked up quite a lot, so everybody's order has been like taken out nicely. This is a good push up though. If you got in yesterday, I said we've got possible targets heading all the way up in there, and as you can see, that was your PST level there, and then that's basically the 2016 goodbye kiss there. All right, on 2016, right where it is. So no real surprises there, as you can see. Okay, once you start buying, and this is the Astro Hour. Now remember, if you're reading what I'm writing down here for you, sometimes I make notes. Okay, and I said careful here. It will be disruptive until 420 with a push, and then it'll take us up into those hours, right? So, well, that's your push, isn't it? Okay, that's your push there. Now, when did that come in? So I said be careful after 1 o'clock. Okay, so this is your 1 o'clock period. See, there's your 1 o'clock there. Okay, so we had 1:30 to 1:45. This is 1:45. This is 1:30. Okay, market comes to the weekly period, comes down. Okay, and then as you can see, it goes up. And look at that big push up right there. So it's just like once it gets there, that's 420, and then push up into 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, as you can see, right? That's 7 o'clock right there. That's your 8 o'clock right there. That's your 11 o'clock right there. Okay, 10:45, 11 o'clock right there. Okay, midnight is there. So as you can see, I was like, nice move there. As you can see, and that was right on the PST. This was not a technical hour, but this was not an Astro Hour, but this was an Astro Hour. All of these hours were Astro Hours, and then we had the disruptive move, breakout, push. Okay, so what to do today with that? Well, we've got a breakout here, so if it pulls back, the market will think about buying at 56.16, and that's the price of 2007. So 2007, I'm going to get rid of this now. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that now. And I'm going to renew this, refresh this, so we should have the daily pivot up here somewhere, which is nice and easy coming into 2007. Now see how nicely that is. Although we had a level here, that purple area I shaded before, and just deleted that, you can see that was just nowhere. Okay, when the market came up here, the Astro hours were like in between. So that purple price zone was not to be used, okay, simply because there were no Astro hours there. So now we've got this 2007 zone here. Okay, so if the market comes down into this zone, you can buy it once again. What you got to be looking out for is there's a gap here, right? So here and the daily and the weekly pivot are okay. Now remember what I said about this the other day. I said, guys, this should come up and break the weekly pivot. Why did I say that? Technical analysis, guys. Okay, so no surprises here, as you can see. That was a big pull down, sell off, and I said it should break out and go up. Okay, so if you took that advice well, you should have been okay. All right, all is honky-dory. What else have we got here? So with gold now, we've got to keep in mind our PST levels. You see how precise this pricing is. So now I've got 2029, 34, 47. So let's mark him in 29.34. This is your 47 here. This is your 34. This is your 29. Okay, so you see we've got now room to be going upwards, okay, into this zone, 29, 34, 47. So this is a beautiful impulse wave, closing higher. So the market is aggressive. If it pulls back, you can go long again. Now what I can do is now take this and put it there, because this is going to be one level, okay, where the market will want to come back into. But you must keep in mind the weekly pivot because of this gap here. Okay, so be smart. This is where the breakout happened. Okay, so you got to be smart, and you got to look out for sudden movements today, because today is the mother of all sudden movements in the New York afternoon session. Okay, also tomorrow in the morning session, my morning, all right, around until 8 o'clock. So I'm going to make a note of those, so be careful, okay? It's going to be a funny day. So yeah. Now tomorrow is also an interesting day for us, okay? Because tomorrow is it's the 15 harmonic on the solstice. So make sure you got your heads up for the 4th and the 5th. Okay, and 5th I said is full moon, so it's nice to see the market, moving with the moon, as you can see. So if the market pulls back, you can go long into those periods. If it doesn't pull back, it goes straight up. Okay, it can also do that. If it comes down here, you're a buyer. If it comes down there, you're a buyer as well. On the daily, okay, like I said, that's going to be your price. And 2005 is on the price, 2007 on the PST, that's your zone, okay? Euro dollar, okay, this just shied off, okay, as you can see, just shy off the the technical price, okay? Now, you would have been okay on this one as well. This is like interesting, isn't it? Now these are the astro hours. Here I said be careful because we're on the daily pivot there. Let me refresh this, and now we'll make we'll have our new daily pivot here. So let's do the analysis according to that. Okay. Now it nearly made that target price, but look what happened here and here. Despite the fact that it broke our level, it was like bearish. This is where they took out all the stop losses, I guess. You can see our astro hours working here. You see, the minute the astro hours are here and they ended, the market just refusing to go back further down. It's just making a big bullish up move here. So this should have given you the idea this is going to be a bit tricky here as well, which is nice to see according to astro hours. Now what I can do, I can now get rid of this, okay? Now let's take a look at the daily setup. You can see it's very wishy-washy, okay? But we're going to have, again, levels. At the top, we want to be selling. Remember what I always say. You sell the highs and buy the lows. So what we're not going to be doing is mucking around in the middle zone. So let's also check out the weekly here. Now you see if this breaks out here, this is still a sell zone until we go higher, okay? And I suspect we should still be selling here, all right? Now May, this is the May. So this zone, yeah, is still going to be a sell zone for us. We'll see how that pans out. Another place the market broke down is this level, you see? So this is a level that the market broke down as well here, and we'll see how this pans out. But until we break above this, I'm always going to be selling at levels, okay? At PST levels that match astro hours. Okay, so this is a good drift up. It's a possible place where we can sell off again this month. Now remember, in this zone we've been selling, so no big deal because it got in there once and we sold off here. This didn't get to the target, so now what? Well, now, today you can buy to go higher, but where to buy is the question. So the first spot you can buy, the market already bought at. Look at that. Okay, so the market has already bought at 54, so don't muck around with it. Leave it alone. Let me get rid of this. Where could this go to? This could go to there and there, which is 62 and 66, and that's 1071, 1117. So 1071 is there, 1117 is there. So I'm going to get rid of this, whoops, as well. Okay, so what we don't want to be doing, it hasn't broken above this yet, nor that. Remember, this is Wednesday, Tuesday, that's the Monday high, that's the Friday high. Okay, so we haven't yet broken above that, and this is a weekly pivot. Okay, now this is your first Astro hour. Okay, it's not the strongest of Astro hours, but this could be a nice adjustment level here. I'd wait for the lunchtime, and New York is going to be messy. Okay, so New York is going to be messy, especially after 7. Okay, after 7 until closing. We're going to have a messy period from 7 to 8:45. Okay, so be mindful in New York. This is an adjustment level. If the market does come back down into the Astro hours, okay, you could go long here. Okay, if it does come down into there, you could go long here. Technically, what is that low there? Technically, that's the Asia low. Also here as well, if you want to go long with this one, you got to do it at the opening low of Asia, or here is where you got to do it. Okay, on the daily pivot. And what you can do is just take that into account. All right, so that'll be your zone there. Okay, but you got to put the stop loss below this white line here, because that's your manipulation bar, but this could also be it. So under the white line from yesterday is where your stop loss needs to be if you want to take it up from there. If you go long from here, that's also fair enough. Then put your stop loss under the daily pivot. Don't extend it too much. US 30. Now US 30, that was a daily pivot yesterday. I said it could go up here and then say it could sell it off, but this is the wake up call you should have had. Once it breaks below the low of Asia, in the New York session, that Astro hour here, as you can see, broke this level. Once you break this, it's game over. All right, so it broke it here, goes up, sells down. This bar would have been okay to go long, short. Okay, what it does, it's come back all the way here, and today this is your zone again. It made the target I talked about. This is why pricing is so important. If you can't price the market, okay, if you don't know where the prices are going, okay, you are going to get yourself into trouble. So, as you can see, marking a price is important. Now, this is a big drop down, okay, so the market going back up again could happen. Where to? Good question. Well, this weekly pivot zone is not too bad. As you can see, there's a bit of a gap here. The manipulation is here. You see where the breakdown happened. So if the market comes back into this zone, again, at Astro hours, okay, and it could do a quick spike in New York to do so, I think selling is a better option. Okay. On the daily, what's the PST? You see PST here is like pretty high, 34,463. 34,463 is like way up there. Okay, and the only time you could really target that is if the market is just like, skyrocketing. But there is going to be a push in the market okay? And that's, like I said, it's going to come after 7. So once at 7 o'clock, if we're at a good swing level, you see they're going to start slapping down, okay? Depending on what you're trading, they're either going to just shoot it down or shoot it up, and that's going to go until closing. It's going to be like hectic, okay? So it's good for us to determine some lower targets as well. Now look, on the PST, I've got 40 and 36. 33,226. 33,226 is there. All right, so that's one target there. The second one is 32,982 there, okay, which is this one, okay, 32,982. On the weekly, do I have a target date? It's way down at 40, which is 31,733. 32,289 is on the price. So look, this is a nice angle to go down. So selling here, like I said, was not a bad idea. Okay, shorting down, and we just have to do it carefully. Why? Because we've got a breakout sign here. So we just have to be a little careful here. But in my opinion, this zone is a good sell zone. Okay, this is a good sell zone. The weekly pivot, obviously. Now I can get rid of this. Let's do this from there to there. Okay, that's your weekly pivot zone there. So if the market comes up into this zone, okay, it's good. In fact, it's going to be here, sorry. There. So from the weekly to this zone here, it's going to be a good sell zone. This is also a sell zone. You see, that's where the manipulation is. This is where the gap is. So the market moves up, okay, and heading up into there, selling off is not a bad idea. Let's take a look at SP 500, NASDAQ, Bitcoin. Okay, if you decide to sell, which you should, okay, you see you've got targets down there. It should start to come down and break into these levels later on, okay? Daily pivot is here. Okay, well, that's going to just be mindful the daily pivot is here. So this is a bit of a sandwich zone. But the weekly, where you're going to close the gap, and the manipulation bar, these are the two levels that will be hot, in my opinion. So let's take a look at SP 500. Whopper. Oh, nearly. All right, nearly again. But this is the zone we're expecting. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Astro hours, beautiful. Market comes in, just sizzles down. The minute it breaks the low of Asia, it's also a sign we're going down. Nice and easy. So let's take a look. This was a hot zone, beautiful break. You see the market now pops up, and that's your sell-off level. This is not a bad spot to sell off. Why? Because it's a weekly pivot there. If you put in the first Astro hour for today, that's going to be that. Where are we? Wednesday, 9:15 there. Okay. Took out the stops here. Nice. A bit of gap here. Same as Dow Jones. Your manipulation bar is right here, guys. Okay. So your manipulation bar is here. If the market does a quick spike up, okay, then they're going to be selling off here as well. There's a gap to fill here. So be mindful, okay, at your Astro hours. You just slap them in here like I do. As you know, I'm just putting it on gold, euro, dollar, and Dow Jones. The rest you can just line them up like I do. Sometimes what Sometimes we're off like 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes on the Dow Jones, but it works on the SP 500 nicely. So sometimes the Dow Jones isn't exactly on the line, but the SP 500 is. Because the setup is going to be the same, you can also check and cross-reference them, okay? We come across that quite often, actually. So with the SP 500, look at that. That's a beautiful fall. If the market goes back up again, selling is a good option. Okay, so into the lows here. That's 64, 4212. 4212 is way, way up there. Okay, pretty much like the Dow Jones, but I don't suspect we'll be going up there, despite the fact it's going to be an aggressive day, okay, in the New York session. But if I find locations to sell at Astro hours here, I think it's not going to be too bad at all. Like I said, after 7 until 8:45, it's going to get like surprise, and it's going to be pushy, right? So if it does, be mindful. Okay, it's just, it's going to be like pushy. Nasdaq, once again, beautiful sell-off. Now here we've got a bit of a gap right there on the daily. Okay, which is a bit of a worry. Okay, because market likes to fill them in. So a spike up and then sell-off would be beautiful, which should match this top. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, 67 is 13,388, which is just above there. So 13,388. Well, that is just going to be too far out, but wouldn't it be funny if the market surprised everyone? 13,388. There. It certainly would. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let me just refresh this. This is your manipulation up here, where the market started to crash down. This, you see how pricing, once again, the beauty about pricing is, if you don't have proper pricing, you're really going to get messed up in the market. So let's see how nicely that worked out. From the weekly pivot to the gap and the manipulation bar, all taken into account, and that happened at 6:15. What's that? 6:30 there. Okay, and what do we have? We had 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock is there. All right, so 7 o'clock, you are in that zone. You should have been on top of your game, and that's when it started to go up. That's your 7 o'clock. Okay, look at that. 420 with a push, and then you got 7 o'clock coming in. 7 o'clock coming in right there, and then the market goes up. So it's pretty much all pushy until 7 o'clock, big push, 7 o'clock, then going up. You should have been on top of your game. And if you were, you should have been pretty much in the money. All right. That is not a bad spot. That's your manipulation zone. Fills in the gap nicely. If it comes up, you know you want to sell. They'll take this out. Everybody's stop loss is here now, and that's a silly place to put a stop loss. The market will take them out. Okay, so be careful. On the daily, you can see there's no breakdown of the low here. So the only thing the market can do is do a heads up. 29,942. Whoop, that's not the right place, is it? There, 67. 13,388. Like I said, 13,388 is a bit far out there, but this is going to be your first level. Like I said, 7 o'clock to 8:45, you better be careful. That's your 8:45. That's your 7:45 there. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so 7 o'clock, sorry, my apologies. Okay, so 7 o'clock there, and after 7 o'clock, it's Action Jackson time. It's going to be hectic. All right, so be mindful. So if we go up again, selling I think is not a bad idea. Came nicely down here, okay, on the Nasdaq. Beautiful push down. Goes up again. We should come down further into this zone here, right? So this should be the target zone here. We've got 38 down there, 12,743. 12,743 is a bit too far down. Let's take this 12,784. 12,784 is a bit, wow, that's also pretty down. Okay, let me just check the weekly. 57, 12,918. 12,918. Okay, so that's 12,918 there. And 54.55. 12,769. Well, that's even lower. Okay, so we'll keep this up here, but this is also, as you can see, that's going to be your zone as well here. Okay, and that's basically it. So like I said, we should go up and break above that. All right, so be careful. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's see what happened here. With Bitcoin, I'm marked in this zone here. This is still going to be your technical zone. So if the market goes up here in your Astro hours as well, selling as well. Look, Bitcoin is also going to be, I think, pretty energetic today. So be careful for that. Nasdaq also is going to be energetic. So be careful for that as well, okay? Because we've got Nasdaq aspects happening. Also, the indices, they go together. So be careful. So with Bitcoin, let's take a look at the daily. We're in this zone. Now, I talked about this triangle before. I will just mark this in myself. The market should break this line sooner or later and come down, okay? If you want to sell it off, 29,942 is your price today. 29,942 is up there. So you're going to have to take that into consideration. 942. All right, so this is going to be your zone. That's a sell zone. That's your manipulation bar. So this is your area here. I'm just going to extend that to there, okay? And that's basically it. On the weekly, that is going to be high. That's your target, 56, 27, 207. I already marked that in for you, 27, 207 down here. All right. So at the end of the day, guys, sell zone. And if they start selling, you see we need to come down into this zone. The market should sell. There's a gap to fill, and it should break below to hit that. If it does, you still got that 40 zone there, which is 27,403. So add that to your target, 27,403, which is going to be there. So that's pretty darn close. We should dip down into here. Okay, selling, the weekly pivot is good, but there's a bit of a gap here, as you know from yesterday. I talked about it. So the market doing a sudden push up and then selling down is an option. Okay, it'll take everybody stop out, close the gap, and then say sayonara, baby, and fall down. Okay, so that's an option there. Be careful for those violent hours we're going to have in the New York session afternoon.